are grateful, we are excited, we are happy to be right here, hosted by CAC TV. This is a team that is coming to you from IMD, that is International Men's Day, team that is coordinating and planning for the day and the marking of the day where we celebrate the man and the boy child. Joined here, we have my good friend and my colleague from Ymca, Chris.
Thank you, Faye. Yes, I'm Kemori Chris from Kenya Young Men's Christian Association, and I'm the programs coordinator there. And it's a privilege, and I'm excited to be here with my fellow panelists as we handle the issues regarding to men. Are you born a man? This is your time. Stay tuned so that we can learn more and talk more about what we go through.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Chris. And on my left, I am joined by our wonderful and great partner, Reverend Kyra.
Wow, thank you, Faith. I'm Henry Gachero Kyra, delighted of this great opportunity to share more about the boy child and more so in a family, in the church, in the nation. We value the boy child, the man, as we also value women and the girl child. Welcome.
Lovely. And your moderator is Faith Nashipai. I am from Thriving Families Kenya. We are the coordinators of International Men's Day, and we are grateful for a great partnership with PCMF, a directorate. They have made this possible. We truly appreciate this partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, our wonderful viewers, we are going to be discussing about the boy child. Why do we have to discuss about the boy child? Why at this time? Who is this boy child? Is the boy child a man, or is the man a boy child? Let us hear from our wonderful guests. Chris, I heard you say that, are you born a man?
Yeah.
So is the boy child a man, or is the man a boy child, or how do we make these definitions?
Well, Faith, thank you for bringing that on board. It starts long ago from the creation time. God created a man, and so from man, that's when we talk about now the boy child. So either way, we can relate that the boy child is a man or the man is a boy child. There is no age limit for a boy child. But again, we need to come out because of different cultural context, different nations. They all classify it differently depending on where one comes from. Perhaps when you go to outside Africa, they might talk more about man and not a boy child. When we come to Kenya, maybe we want to talk about the boy child. But I believe boy child cuts across all ages, from birth till infinity. When I say infinity, I know you can live as long as you want. That is till you die. That's it. You're still a boy child. That's why in Kenya, men will always talk about, hey, boys club. But when you go there, they are men of 80 years and above. So they still classify themselves as boys. But today, I thank God because we are going to try and navigate through the age groups from a boy, that is from in Kiswahili we'll say mtoto wa kiume, to the youth, and again we talk about this old man who is now becoming a mentor either to the early child, to the small boy there, or to the youth, and that way. So to me, I think it cuts across all age. It has no limit of age when you talk about the boy child. Wow. And either way, a man is a boy child, and a boy child is a man.
Okay, Rev, what do you have to say?
Lovely. Strong perspective.
Yes.
I would love to say, when we talk of male, female, the maleness defines greatly the boy child. And yet with the part of masculinity, when we have that part of masculinity, I would say it gives a definition of the boy, the man. Yet, when in sociology, due to the way we have different cultural settings and different sociologies, you may find a man, like when we used to have the cowboys, you could think they are young boys, but when you get there, they are elderly fathers, grandfathers. So I would say, in the definition, we could say the boy child is a man, and a man is a boy child. Though the word man, from the very beginning, has been used for both masculine and feminine, but we will say at this discussion, when we use man, we go to the maleness, the masculine side for boy, to the older man, the father. So I'll have combine and say the boy child is a man and the man is a boy child.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. Our wonderful viewers, the National Gender and Equality Commission in 2015 did a research and came up with a report. And one of the key findings from this report confirmed that the boy child is neglected. We are going to hear from our great panelists today. Where is this boy child? If he is neglected, where can we trace the boy child? We are right in the environment of COVID right now in the country, and I hear women support the girls, and they call out for people to go and cancel the girls. Where is the boy child today? People are talking about teenage pregnancies, and they're talking about the girl, but maybe you can tell us when we are tracing the boy. Where do we trace the boy now that we do not have church, Reverend?
Mm-hmm. Wow. A critical question. Where do we trace the boy child? Number one, I would lift this response from addressing the whole piece of identity. It's like we are in a time when to identify the boy child with a clear cut of knowing where exactly he is like the word neglected comes in. For it's like the boy child is now in a point of crisis, identity crisis, whereby although we said a boy is a man is a boy, within the whole challenge of COVID-19, the economic deprivation, the area of schooling is like the boy child is not featuring quite well. And I'll say, number one, I would say there is the whole challenge of identity crisis. Because we find even in some of the ripple effects or of the crisis in identity leads to drug usage. So we may find, I would say, the boy child is also identified with use of drugs, drug abuse, and leading to substance use disorders. And out of that, we also end up finding when the boy child is still neglected, the peer pleasure is leading the child to gangs and matters to do with violence. And finally, I'll say we would also trace the boys, some even in behind the correction centers where now they are in jail. And that's why this discussion we would also talk about the boy child, the man behind bars. And also we have a challenge on the absent parents, absent parenting. It's not only the fathers who are absent. Currently even mothers are absent. And so you find the boy child, yet even the girl child, they are being identified with the crisis of early parenting. And some of them now have ended up in becoming early fathers, more maybe earlier than we could say. It was the very normal age of one becoming a father, while at least you have some muscle economically. So I would say we can trace the boy child in the many crises. Although all is not lost, there are those parents who have been very intentional, and even a bit of the online learning, we would say the boy child can also be treated. But even in figures, we find the schools which are able to offer online learning.
Yes.
A majority of boys are not getting into those online classes.
Lovely. Lovely. Chris, you work a lot with young people.
Yeah.
You interact with them. And you've told us rightly that a boy child is someone from the age of 1 day, all the way to as long as they are born male. So with that in mind, and looking at the young person, where can we trace the boy child at the young stage, at the young age?
Okay, thank you, Faith, for that, and I also appreciate the input of our Reverend there. Well, the boy can be traced from the day one. After you are born and your gender is identified and the doctors are able to confirm, well, you gave birth to a male, not a female. So immediately the journey of boy-child should begin. We need to trace it from then. Why?
Okay.
We've been brought up in a way that we need to know. We are prepared. This boy has come to the world. What are the expectations? One, individually, what the Reverend was talking about, identity. This boy needs to identify with his gender in the first place. Then as we grow, the community, the family, I know there are those expectations. And especially, and you'll bear with me, we are living in a century of mixed cultures.
Yes.
Where right now in Africa, we want to be partly African and partly Western.
Yes.
Then everything becomes into a confusion. Why? I want to adopt this from the Western and I don't want to do the rest. So there is a crisis around there. What Reverend was talking about, identity crisis. But if we trace this boy child from the word go, I've given birth to a boy, so the parent starts preparing, he will grow, he needs these clothes. And I don't know why we think like after giving birth to a boy, the parent will not think after the unisex clothing, they will buy a skirt to my boy. No, he or she already knows. He needs trousers, he needs this dressing. Then after that, I am prepared. He'll be initiated into manhood.
Yeah.
So we can trace all this from the word go, from birth. But again, that is at the birth point. That is at the boy, the small child, the infant. As we grow the infant, then we lose the track of the boy child. We lose the track as we go on. And that's when we start falling in what we call identity crisis, where I don't want to identify with my gender. Reason being one, quite a lot is expected of me as a boy.
Yes.
If I don't deliver, I am a failure.
We are saying nowadays that the boy child is under siege.
Exactly. It's under siege. And let me tell you, and it is not like it was a long time ago. I know the age of Reverend Kaira can take us back into perhaps before we adopted the colonial period and all that.
Yes.
And where even if I'm a boy, I'm being born to this world that, hey, you need to be the provider, blah, blah, blah. And the woman, the female, understood that.
Yes.
And therefore there was respect for the boy. But currently the boy is given all these tasks to a lady who does not respect what the boy needs to do.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Chris, for I am hearing two key statements, the roles in gender, and I'm also hearing identity crisis, Reverend.
Yes.
Help us understand, when you say identity crisis, where does it start?
Well,
And who is the initiator of this? Who is the perpetrator of this identity crisis in a boy?
number one, I would say identity must be there. One, when born male, we trace this from how the human anatomy is shaped, and we will say for the male, the way we were created and the way the boy child is created, there is the disparity with the male. And the male here, we would say, even from a religio-cultural point of view, from creation in Genesis, and coming through to the time of Abraham, we see God giving a command that all males should be circumcised. That was a sign of getting into a covenant. And I would say from the very beginning, God gave us identity.
Exactly.
That one I will not deny, it is there.
Yes.
But along the way, how we are socialized, the socialization process. And I love it when you talked about why after crossing the unisex stage of raising a child, why don't we continue with the boy wearing the kilt like he stays in Scotland or going the Maasai way? So here I'll say now identity comes in through gender, roles. Identity comes through how we are socialized, how boys should behave and how girls should behave. And you find along the way, it will finally create stereotypes. And finally, out of those stereotyping, if you don't behave this way, which is now the identity of maleness, you'll be considered more otherwise. So I would say socialization also gives us identity. But from the very beginning, God has given a bit of a demarcation.
Yes.
But we won't say because I also say we appreciate that when God created a helper for the man, the male, she created a woman. And I would love to say the woman, out of the coming of the woman, now here follows the bearing of children, the generations. And this is only possible through the union of both the male and the female.
So now, Rev, the roles come in.
Yes.
The roles come in.
The roles come in.
Where now the woman gets her role,
Yes.
and the man gets his role.
Yes.
Please
And now, from that law, it goes on now from where we are talking now. Man is now socialized to be a provider, a protector, a paysetter. You say even he is the prophet in the house, the priest. But when I come to the way Jesus brought the whole revelation and information, is the priesthood of all believers. I would love now the socialization in terms of roles, not to equate all the roles of what a male can be able to do with the masculine strength. Today we have technology which is advancing, and a woman, a girl can do the same with technology. And this is where now the change, the paradigm shift is coming in. And if you are not quickened to understand it's coming in, although you will not change some of the original identities, there are other areas whereby if there are just socialization issues, we need now to adapt. And we have not been able to adapt quickly so that we would fit in our times. And that's why we would find now we have different generations. Right now the generation Z is very different from the baby boomers. So, and so within this discussion, I would love, as we address the whole challenge of tracing the boy child, the area of changing socialization due to changing technology, changing times, even economic empowerment, power play, we address it.
Lovely. Thank you, Rev. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd want to find out, even much as we are tracing the boy child in identity and in the roles and all these things, exactly what are the challenges that affect the boy child today in our society? Rev, what do you think are the major challenges from, and I know you deal with men under the PCMF Directorate. Give us a few challenges that men in their 40s, 50s are facing right now in the country. Yeah.
Now, number one is in the line with family.
Yes.
Many men, in terms of the social setting God created from beginning, and God lays a family, the family of the original family is really facing many challenges. Man as the breadwinner, as the protector, as the priest, is like the whole phase of economy is challenging the man not to play all those roles together. Where I would say there should be mutuality. And when this mutuality is not taken into consideration, the man may be put in a corner, and out of the stereotyping that you are not able to do this and the other, finally we find the man faced by what we are calling reactionary responses, which are leading to domestic violence. And if we would come on a table and agree on now bringing the man who is facing the mid-age crisis in marriage, how they would raise the family, how to anchor their economic base, their capital base. This is an area I would love not to see only responses whereby policies are more inclined only to women, youth a little bit, but the man is left out. And lastly, I would also say the man at 40s, 50s, the challenge of health. And even as we talk in the season of COVID-19, even earlier HIV and AIDS, man is faced by health crisis.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Reverend, for bringing us to that point where we are actually supposed to be talking about, during the International Men's Day, our theme this year is healthy bodies and minds. Why do we talk about it? We have a lot of men who are going through prostate cancer. We have a lot of men who have succumbed to COVID. We have so many other men who are being hospitalized because of COVID. And yes, it is a time when we need to talk about the health of a man. And remember, we are talking about men from across all ages. We are not discriminating, and therefore our boy is a man tomorrow. And our father was a boy yesterday, and he will still join the boys club. Thank you very much. Chris, you have something to tell us about YMCA and the boy child and IMD?
All right. Thank you. Yes, we need to focus on the healthy mind of man and the healthy body. Why is it? Because it's connected. No, when you talk about healthy mind, it's more about mental health. And therefore, men's mental health should become a key issue and a concern. And they know the figures and the statistics are showing the rate at which men are committing suicide. It's quite high and alarming. And we can also see it in our societies where men are the culprits of suicide. But we need to change the statistics. And the best way of changing the statistics is engaging this man to understand and to know and to allow him to talk and spark the conversations. Especially like Rev was saying, when we have a midlife crisis of man, when we talk about the boy child and his crisis, teenage crisis, all the way to youth crisis, and now to the midlife 40s and above. And something, just allow me to mention this. We have been brought up in an African traditional society. I used to call that an 8 years kind of in school. Where we are taught the culture of man from the word, how man and how the African society used to behave pre-colonial and in the colonial time. But there is no in our curriculum where we have how men should behave after that. Anyway. Yes. So we are just taught about it. So that's why today we are coming here as YMCA Kenya and say we need to focus on healthy minds and healthy bodies so that we are able to build a man. And the way we can do that, sparkle the conversations, join the conversations on International Men's Day. It is on 19th November 2020. All men across the globe, it's an African thing, all men across the country, let us think about ourselves for the first time and talk and express the conversations.
Lovely. I am a big supporter of the men and the boy child. Rev, sometime in March, I was able to get some information from the National Police Service on men and suicide.
Yes.
Painful. And you won't imagine this. The data brought out very disturbing realities. That out of 1656 people who had committed suicide, reported to have committed suicide in the country last year, 76% were men. 76% of them were men who had died by suicide. As we come back, give us something about men and dying of suicide. Ladies and gentlemen, we are happy, we are excited. Remember, this is in commemorating the International Men's Day. Men, you also have a day that is for you. We love you, we appreciate you. You are our fathers and our sons, and we are happy to be celebrating you.
It takes courage to stand up for the society.
To quote Barack Obama, we are borrowing the future of our children.
Going miles to offer free positive advice for reforms.
That these parties are owned by individuals.
Rebuking injustices both from the rulers and citizens.
Having majority and minority. So all these discussions definitely goes through a people-centered process.
Power Brief is now bigger and better. Every Thursday from 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. tune in to CAC TV and join Cornelius Omuse with Kenyans from all affiliations and be part of the reforms journey on matters, politics and governance. Are you looking to grow a business? CAC TV offers you a variety of advertising opportunities to suit your budget. Advertise with us today and reach your potential customers countrywide. For more information, email us on sales@cactv.org or call 0794 588 054.
You're welcome back, our wonderful viewers. We are talking about the boy child, men across all ages. And today, our panelists are going to be, we'll continue with the discussion about this wonderful gender. And our passion is to make sure that every man, every boy is in the gender equation. At the end of the day, I keep saying it is not equal unless he's part of the equation. Reverend,
Yes.
we ended at a point where we talked about suicide, men dying by suicide. From your experience, what could be the contributor, and how can men support each other? Yes.
Well, thank you. There is a real concern in the times we are in. For one can be a perpetrator of one finally ending up committing suicide and even causing suicide of others. And here I would say, men, it seems a lot of pressure has been mounting on different cases, and I will not generalize, but I would say at times there are people with underlying conditions, and when they are triggered, they will have the suicidal tendencies, and one may finally commit suicide through the many different means, hanging or even taking any kind of chemical, or even causing an accident. And I would say the pressure economically, when you find your worth is like you reach the point of hopelessness. Your self-esteem is too low.
Yes.
You find you are worth nothing. That level can lead you to saying the nothing I am is now I take my life. Secondly, we have other suicidal cases which have come in as a result of a whole journey of piling of your past, and you don't let go. You don't let go. You don't have a way of verbal diarrheaing. And here I would suggest men should have intentional discussions over a meal, over breakfast, dinner time. We share, we verbalize. What am I going through? You know, women are good, and here Faith, you are.
Yes.
You sit together, even though you went through a tough time.
Yeah.
Last night there was the infighting.
Yeah.
You speak about it. Men recoil from inside. They burn from inside. So the emotional intelligence in man's life, even the boy child, even small boys are committing suicide after maybe one has been stereotyped and reaches a point of saying, I'm not man enough. And finally one may decide to commit suicide. So I would say the pressures in our times, economically, the other underlying conditions, and also not getting opportunities to vent out and share out. And at times not heeding to some of the prescriptions from our physicians on how to keep up with other underlying conditions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lovely. Men, you have been told to verbal diarrhea. Talk about your issues. The only way to get your freedom and the only way to get us to understand you is through communication.
Yes.
Unless you tell us exactly what you're going through and you put it in black and white and not assume that I, as a woman, will make assumptions that this is what he meant, then that is the only way that we can be able to solve issues together. I have been working with men, I have been talking with men, I have been listening to men, and I can confirm that men need to talk more. We are ready to listen. We have all our ears open. I know, Rev, your office is open, yes, and you have a good system that is supporting.
Yes.
And Thriving Families, as a partner with PCMF, is also willing to open its doors and listen to men, because you know what, men, you are very important in our society. Chris, yes, our young people, the World Health Organization data on mental health reflects something that is really worrying, that we have a lot of young people who are dying by suicide. What do you have to say about this?
Well, these are shocking statistics. These are shocking news, by the way, when you have, we usually, like in Africa, where the youth or the young people are a majority rather than the aged, and when now we succumb to suicide, or we turn to suicide as a solution to our problems, it leads us to get worried about our next generation. And this, of course, I agree to what Reverend has said. Some of the underlying conditions are there, probably mental health conditions which were not identified earlier on, so they build up, and in a slight trigger, this person can end up being suicidal. Again, we also have the backlogs from our cultures. And I just want to address our culture from this point. And I said earlier on in our discussion, we are living in 21st century, but we still want to live in the African traditional society. Then there is that vacuum, there is that lacuna, who understands who. Where at this time, in my 18, but I've been exposed to the entire world. I believe my parent at the age of 18, he or she was exposed just to the area surrounding her. When I want to handle my issues, because I can think globally, especially the technology, then my mother or my father or the society will look at me and say, wow, he's a lost son. So I'm left alone. Nobody appreciates my effort. So we need to bridge the gap. We need to have what we call, to bridge the generation barriers which are there, such that my parents are there, they can understand me. The society is there, it can understand me. And I as well, I can be able to understand the society. And that's when we now bring the issue of conversations among generations. Where when these older generations are coming to address the youth, they are not addressing them as part of, hey, you know nothing, we were there before you. Yes, you are there before me, but there was not a phone. You are here with me, but there is a phone. You are there before me without a laptop, but you are here with me, there is a laptop that I can handle. So we need to see, how do we bridge this gap? How do we now reach out to the heart of one another? Because if you don't reach out to the heart of one another, it will just be a mere talk of age. How was there when I put to bulldoze? So then we pull out, and we don't need you. And when we pull out, we still need these men as mentors. So where do we turn to?
Lovely.
We are left without anyone to address. So we start thinking outside the suicide, if not suicide, drugs and substance abuse, if not all that, peer pressure, and actually we have so many runaway homes from men, yes, boys who are not willing to be at home.
That's so true. Okay. Thank you so much, Chris, because you're bringing a very critical point here. And what I hear you say is that a young man or a man needs a mentor. So when you're saying that we have an intergenerational approach towards supporting the manhood in our country, or the male generation, we need to bring together the old and the young generation. Rev, I have a question.
Yes.
One of my young, wonderful people that I get to talk to asked me, he's a young man. He asked me, and this I want you to answer in only half a minute.
Yes.
How do I, as a young man of 30, because I am not married and I want to get married, how do I handle an empowered woman?
How do I handle an empowered woman?
Yes.
Did you go further to ask, is he also empowered as a young man? Let me bring it to... Yeah, because...
he is empowered. He's a university graduate.
Good.
And you notice that we've had like 3 graduates who were murdered by ladies during COVID time. Young, very young, energetic and wonderful men. And it really crushed my heart because this was promising life that was just ended when it was starting. So put yourself in this young man's shoe that is Chris. Chris, can I use that?
No problem.
And tell Chris how does he handle this empowered woman?
Wow, great. Chris, here you are.
Yes.
And you talked about we need mentorship.
Yes.
And we need to get the wise counsel. One, when talking of handling an empowered woman, I would love now to bring in the whole concept of if they are to live together in the union of marriage. Marriage is God's idea. What is the purpose of the mutual union? It's give and take. When I come, I'm empowered. We join, you join your wife who is also empowered. You have to agree on certain parameters. For I would love to anchor whether one is empowered intellectually, one is empowered economically. If all these levels of empowerment are not guided by love and respect, all of them will bring that institution of marriage down.
True.
Love and respect is core. And I will not respect you because you have a heavy paycheck, and if they are brought on the table, mine is falling down in respect of yours. We see one another as a husband and wife.
Yes.
Then we agree to move together. We raise children. Although I would say compatibility levels of empowerment, you'd find some bit of latent heat would come out of the differences, out of far ahead of you. But I would say, even when here I sit as a father, I always say I started as a husband, and my husbandship has grown to give fathership of 3 children. We've been mutually agreeing with my wife. There are things she's highly empowered than I am, and there are areas I'm also empowered than her. But we thrive through love and respect.
Oh, lovely. But can I add something on that?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Reverend, for bringing that on board. I also, and it takes me back to what we started talked about initially on identity crisis in a man. Why am I worried to handle an empowered woman? Do I identify whom I am? And you said, well, he's a graduate from the university.
Yes.
Do I believe in my manhood first? Do I believe in myself as a man? Because if you look at what describes you as a man, it is not what he is thinking. It is not about the money that I bring on the table. It is not what I bring at the end of the month, but it is the nature that God has put inside me as a man. Can I be a priest? Can I provide? Despite of, you don't need to 5 million, to provide in your family. And when I talk about provision, he talked about love and trust. Can I love my family? Can I be trusted by my empowered wife? If I believe in myself, then let me tell you, and I have seen it happen, even the empowered woman will never realize that he earns more than you.
Yes.
And then I don't know who is an empowered woman, because I think empowered woman would be more of a definition and a classification. And I have seen women who we might classify them as empowered. When they go back home, they're like, you know what, at home, I'm a wife.
Yes.
I have to respect him. He is my husband. I am a university lecturer. He is a primary school teacher. When we classify empowerment, we'll think one is empowered by the other one.
Yes.
But when we meet at the table, then I have to go down. I'm a woman. Why? Because I identify my position. I am the neck and not the head. And that's why I believe we need to base it also on what are our beliefs, in the society.
Yeah.
And lovely here, I'll just say, plain black and white. When we don't reference our point from the image of God, I'll commodify you. You commodify me out of what we are calling empowerment.
Very true.
Yes.
That's
Tutakuwa commodity za
Yes.
kuuza.
Yes.
Lovely. Wonderful gentlemen, you are doing very well, and I like the fact that we are saying that when we get to the family level, I am very passionate also about family, that when we get up at the family level, we are husband and wife.
Yes.
We are not looking at each other based on the paycheck. We are not looking at each other based on the knowledge. We are not looking at each other based on the level of employment, whether I am an executive director or whether my husband is doing other things. That is not where we are basing ourselves on, because when you started life, or when you start looking at that girl, and when she looks at you, she sees a man, you see a woman, and that is what you connect to. Is it true, Ben?
Yes.
Yes. So it has to remain there.
Yes.
We first start with a human being,
Yes.
and then now we start bringing these other things, expectations, and we build on the expectations, and we empower one another towards the expectations.
And none should overshadow that basic.
Lovely. So we have a few minutes to go to the end of this show. I would just want to hear 2 points or 3 points from you, Chris, that are a solution to our society.
Well, yeah, that's at the end we are the problem, we are the solution. I want to start with that, meaning that all these problems are within the society, and the society will provide solutions. One thing, when we handle the issue of a girl, because it should come back to our gender, when we talk about gender equality, gender inclusivity, gender equity, it is bring me on board to understand what you're doing.
Yes.
But when our society makes a lot of noise when a girl is raped, let me use that case. But at the same time, we don't make the equal noise when a boy goes through some sort of stigma in the society, then we are imbalancing it. And this goes back to schools also and to what the society does. I have heard people complain and people say, if I'm going to take sanitary pads to my girls back in the slums, let's say about the slums and all that, or to other schools, do I think of what the boy needs? Perhaps the same girls laugh at a boy who does not have an innerwear, or whose innerwear is torn, or whose shorts are torn. This is what now creates, the confidence of a man. Why don't we also empower this man? The girl will feel, I don't deserve to go to school because I don't have my periods, my periods, and then I cannot go to school. The same boy will feel like, I don't need to be at school. Why? I can't cover myself the way I'm supposed to. I don't portray myself as a man. So the society needs first to change. The society needs to bring empowerment in terms of being involved. Let the boy sit down there and the girl sit down there, then we talk from both of them, but not taking the girl and leaving the boy. So it will not add up very well. Again, as I give the final point, I want to look at it this way from the inception, how YMCA began. For those who understand YMCA, YMCA started a long time ago by immigrants in the United Kingdom, when men came together to solve their problems, fellowship together, and share. After working in the farms in the evenings, they should go and sit in a room and men would talk to each other. They would pray, they would read the Bible, those times, then they would open up and say, how was your day at work? What did you encounter? What challenges were there? And then they'll try and solve these problems together. And when they were doing that, ideas started generating into, hey, we also need to be physically active, healthy bodies. So they started engaging in sports and other activities. So men out there, I know it is not only good to go and sit with other men when you are taking alcohol, as it has been, or taking boozy, but you can just sit with other men and try and negotiate and talk, speak out. Bring conversations on the table, talk about your inner emotions and feelings to one another, and let us be solution providers and also brothers keeper to one another. That will solve also the issue of boy child and crisis that we are going through as a man. Thank you, Faith.
Rev, your wisdom in 1 minute.
Oh, lovely. Now, one, men need to be more intentional. Intentional in mentorship by initiating programs which respect different age groups within raising the boy child and yet the girl child. Here I will say, although we are in a line when we are talking about, we have families where a family is blessed with girls, another one is with boys, another one is mixed. So I will say intentional mentorship programs whereby the leverage of the different developmental stages are addressed. Secondly, as you raised the fellowships, men should not now walk in isolation or just enjoy meeting in their small evening settings, but light from places of work, through the church, through even the mosque, men should come together and discuss topics of importance.
Yes.
And lastly, policy making.
Yes.
Nations, governments, and Kenyan government should also do a bit of revision. Yes, patriarchy did not do well, even when now we are talking of the 2/3 gender rule or 1/3 gender rule. It's a high time when we should revise some of the policies when we find we have also not considered the well-being either of the boy child or the girl child.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Rev. We truly appreciate especially the point on policy. I happen to be a partner with the State Department of Gender. And one of the issues that we have at the national level is the policies that we have. Someone will argue out that the policies that we have are supporting everyone. But at the implementation stage, you find that there is a lot of disparity. And my challenge and the biggest question that I always ask is, 50 years beyond today, where will the man and the boy child be in our country? We have policies in finance that are not supporting the man. We know very well that you cannot put a man in the team of 15 women, tell him not to lead, and still expect him to get money from the same group. And that is the platform that has been created by Uwezo Fund. So we need our policies to include the man. And I always say, include the man at his most reproductive years. And that is between 30 all the way to 60. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, we truly appreciate being here. We are here courtesy of PCMF Directorate, and we are happy because we are celebrating International Men's Day. And briefly, International Men's Day is a day where we celebrate every man from every walk of life. What we do is that we talk about and we highlight issues of men. We highlight gender issues of men. We highlight issues, discriminations of men. We highlight fathers and men who have been role models. We highlight men who have been great people and they have contributed greatly to their communities, to their families, and to their society. And this time, we are talking also about the health of man. So we are highlighting issues of the health of man this year. On 19th of November, YMCA is gracious. We are going to be hosted by YMCA on off State House Road, right? This is going to be an opportunity for a few men who are going to be invited. Please note that this is by invitation because we are having a COVID problem. We don't want again to expose our men. We love men, we love our fathers, we love our sons, and we love our husbands too. And for that reason, we want to protect you the much that we can. So we'll have a controlled number at YMCA. However, you can reach out to us. We are going to have our coverage. We're going to have our coverage streamed live on our social media platforms. Please reach out. Please check out on Thriving Families Kenya. Check out on International Men's Day Kenya platform that is on Facebook, and we are also going to be live on Chiromo Mental Health and Chiromo Mental Health Hospital. We're going to have all these live during this time, and between now and the 19th, we have a whole lot of activities that are lined up. Something that is coming up on Sunday. On Sunday, we have the Uganda that is going to be leading us in discussing about the boy child, depression, and stress. That we are going to be talking about the boy child between 8 years and 17 years. You will wonder why a 7-year-old would die by suicide. So this is an opportunity for you as a parent to listen in. On Monday, we'll be having a doctor demystify issues of reproductive health of men and prostate cancer, where we're talking about erectile dysfunctions and all these other things, all because we want men to have information and we want men to go to the hospital at the right time. On Tuesday, we are going to be discussing about marriage, divorce, and separation. And on Thursday, we are going to be discussing about the role of the importance of the image of a father in raising children. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so grateful that you listened to us. We are very happy, and together we are saying, usikose kukua pale on 19th of November. Please join us and let's stream this live and let everyone know that International Men's Day is a day for men. Thank you very much.